Well, hello again. Welcome back to my channel. You know, when you really stop and think about it, it was never that good with the narcissist. It really wasn't. So guys, a lot of times, especially in retrospect, we sometimes remember the good things. I think it's common for everybody in their lives to look back on events or periods of their lives and kind of to a degree block out the bad and remember the good things. It's kind of common. I think we do this especially with the narcissist. We actually don't just do it in retrospect, we also do it in the moment too. And this applies to friendships with the narcissist and romantic relationships, even maybe familial relationships. What happens is, because of the nature of these toxic relationships, we glamorize the things that we think are really good. So here's how these relationships go. You meet the person, they lay it on super thick, they love bomb you, or you go through what's called the euphoric stage, where everything is awesome, and you think that you met your best new friend or the greatest person who ever entered in your life. And they tell you everything you want to hear, and they mirror you. If you like to hike, they like to hike. If you like to fish, they like to fish. You're into your faith tremendously. Oh, guess what? They're just turning over a new leaf. They're into their faith too. You see what I'm saying? And they lay it on thick, and they mirror back everything that you want to see and pretend to be that perfect person to enter your life. And once they have you snagged at some point in time, however that was, usually if you're in a romantic relationship, it means you told them you loved them, and maybe 5 days later the shoe dropped. I don't know, happens to some people. Or maybe you got engaged, or you got pregnant, or you moved in, or you got married, or whatever it is. If they can keep the mask up long enough, maybe you got to a point where you got married. But when they knew they had you, that's when the love bomb ended, and hell broke loose. Let's just put it that way. The shoe dropped, the mask slipped, and you were now in the carnival of chaos that you never knew you were in. And here comes the toxic push-pull, tug-of-war, the high-low, high-low. They're in, they're out. They're in, they're out. Love you, hate you. And all of these things in this toxic push-pull cycle. And it sends your mind spinning. And so what happens is, among the many other things from this toxic roller coaster ride that is a narcissistic relationship, is you start to take the good things and really put those on a pedestal. I'm going to return to the love bomb stage in a minute, and maybe at the end, because it also wasn't actually what you thought it was either, or what I thought it was. But let's take the bulk of the relationship, which is the devaluation stage. When you had a good day, or two, or three with the narcissist, every once in a while it happened. Maybe you even had a good week. It's possible. It's very unlikely. You held on to that thing. You dug into that good time like an Alabama tick. You were in that thing, and you thought that was the greatest. This is what made the relationship go. This was the little breadcrumb of hope that sent you back in your mind to the euphoric stage where you remember how great they were. And that person reappears in little flashes, little bits and pieces. And every time they do, you just gobbled it up like Pac-Man. You thought it was the most amazing thing. They took me out to dinner, and they held my hand, and they didn't walk 10 feet ahead of me, and they didn't flirt with the person that was waiting on us, and they didn't do googly eyes to somebody at the other table, and afterwards, they bought me this little card that said, of all the mistakes I may have made, giving my heart to you was the greatest thing I've ever done, or I'm butchering the phrase, but they did all these wonderful little things, and you sat back during that time and then afterwards, and you were like in the afterglow, basking. Because you thought, hey, here they are. This is the person that I loved. This is the person I fell in love with. They're back. And you thought that night or that week or that few days or whatever was the greatest thing. Didn't you? I know I did. And we glamorize these events. They're the things that really keep us there. I've said this 1,000 times. I'll keep saying it. The breadcrumbing is what keeps you in the game. Because they establish that false identity with you, and that's who you think they are at the beginning. And every time they need to along the way, they're going to sprinkle in that mask again and give you a breadcrumb. Take you out to dinner, buy you a gift, show you some fake empathy, do something really kind, give you a big hug, and say they love you. Whatever they did. Maybe they'll tell other people how great you were and shower you with praise and buy you a gift. These are the things they do. And every time it was the most amazing thing anyone's ever done for you in your life. But let's think about this. Was it really that good? No, it wasn't. It wasn't that good at all. Do you know what actually every one of those amazing, grand, wonderful, stellar, spectacular days with the narcissist really was? It's what a normal day in a decent relationship is supposed to be. Oh my gosh, we went out for the day, we took a day trip, and we had a nice drive, and we talked, and we stopped and got some pastries and some coffee in the morning. Then we got to, maybe we're going to a lake. We got to the lake, and we sat out there, and we watched it for a while. We watched the waves crash over the shore, and we watched the sun maybe set in the sky. We talked about life. We went to dinner after that. Nice little Italian place. I remember I had chicken parmesan. It was awesome. I don't remember what they got. Probably something good. And they shared a little bit with you. And you shared a little bit with them. And you had pleasant conversation. And they weren't manipulating you with somebody nearby. And then you had a nice drive home. And maybe you got dessert. And you just wrapped up the day and talked about the kids. Or talked about whatever was going on. That is called a normal day in a good relationship. I'm not saying that those days are spectacular times to have with a person. It's the little things in life. Those days are precious. Believe me, I'm not saying they aren't. But they're not precious with a fake person. They're special with a real person. The narcissist isn't a real person. But my point is, every time they gave you maybe one of those days or afternoons or whatever it was what the relationship should be like 99% of the time. Do you guys understand? I know I'm speaking to a lot of people, including myself, who may never have been in a relationship with a really good, godly, wonderful person. Probably haven't been, otherwise you'd still be with them. You know those things actually exist. They're not common. It's rare anymore. But there are people like that. You guys probably are one of them. I think I'm one of them. They do exist. And actually, some couples have those kind of days I talked about regularly. Yeah, regularly. Without getting berated and abused and gaslighted and stonewalled and given silent treatment and any of the myriad things that they'll do. The narcissist will do. So my point is, every single time we thought the relationship was great, we just had the best time of our lives last weekend. Did you? Or did you just have a day where you weren't getting your butt handed to you? Where you weren't getting abused? Where you weren't getting torn down to the ground and told that you can't cook, you can't clean, you can't drive, you can't think, you're stupid, you're a bad partner, you're not trustworthy, or a million other things. And for that day, you didn't get any of that. And because you didn't get that abuse, what did you think? And what did I think? That was a stellar day. That was fantastic. That's why I'm here, baby. That's why I'm staying in this. Because they breadcrumbed you? Because they gave you a fake day? They put on the mask, probably because they wanted something out of you. Or maybe they were running low on supply with the other people they had behind your back on Tinder or dating sites of other kinds, or past exes, because they actually devoted themselves to you for a little period of time. We thought that was great, and we stuck around because of that. We didn't stick around because it was like that on a regular basis. Those relationships are anything but stable. There is no such thing as any stability. There's not even just minor roughs, minor patches. There is nothing but this all the time. And as you go on and on, the relationship gets lower and lower. There's way more valleys than there are peaks. But every peak, oh buddy boy, we thought that was stellar, didn't we? That was the stuff of legend. That's why we did it all. That's why we endured abuse 75, 80% of the time, because 20% of the time it was okay, and 5% of the time they treated me like a human being. And that felt really good, didn't it? And all the while we forgot that there are people out there that we deserve, and we will never settle for anything less, again, will we, than somebody who treats you with that kind of respect day in and day out. You should never look at a relationship you're in and say, man, we had a great weekend that one weekend. It was, wish it was like that more often. If it's not like that, get out. I'm not saying that any relationship is perfect and roses and daisies every second of every day. That's unrealistic. But those bad days shouldn't be that bad. And they should be few and far between. If you're in a relationship with somebody and it's bad most of the time, or even half the time, or even a decent percentage of the time, get out. It's not supposed to be that way. If you're with somebody who is like yourself, who wants a healthy, stable relationship and is a good person, preferably a God-fearing person, if you find that, and I get it, it's not easy to find anymore. But there's no sense in messing around with anything less. So you stay good, you stay single, you work on yourself, you grow, you seek first the kingdom, and you say, if I ever am going to have a person, that's the kind of person it's going to have to be, or I'm not wasting my time. Because it is a waste of time otherwise. The narcissist should teach us that, right? So that is what we deserve. That is what a relationship's supposed to look like. The relationship with the narcissist was never really good. They gave you some false days, a few days here and there where it was decent. Maybe you got engaged to the narcissist and things went well for a whopping 8 or 9 days after that. And then they had to do something to blow the relationship up. Because that's what they do. In retrospect, were those 8 or 9 days really that good? Probably not. It probably just meant they treated you like a decent human being. You had a semblance of a normal relationship. They had a little joy. Maybe they shed a tear. Maybe they gave you a hug. Maybe they sent you some emojis and talked about how excited they were to be your future wife or future husband. And that's about it. And then maybe next time they saw you, they went through your phone, unbeknownst to you, threw a fit about things that weren't even anything, and pretty much sabotaged the relationship for good. Or whatever they did. But let me say this. If you really get down to it, the beginning of the relationship wasn't that great either. You see, I'm not saying there weren't good times. I'm not saying it didn't feel good to have someone heap praise and adoration onto you. They made you feel great. They made you feel like you were the missing link in their lives. That you were the thing they've been waiting for all these years. Maybe you ask them, what's different about our relationship? And they said, everything. Everything. And that felt really good, didn't it? Was it true? No. But at the time, you did. You thought it was real. And it felt great. Maybe they wanted to be around you a lot. And they texted you and they called you. And I'm not saying that in the time, those things weren't good. But let's look at it this way. What else were they doing? Because see, I can only speak for myself, but I actually happen to know this based on, I guess I can speak for some other people that I've heard. Let me phrase that. The narcissist does their antics even in the love bomb stage. I'm sure if you experience this, drop comments below. What did the narcissist do to you, even in the love bomb, even in the euphoric stage, that should have been a red flag, that you maybe there was a red flag that you ignored and you brushed under the rug and you swept it away? That even in the love bomb stage, they gave you indications and they manipulated you and they did things that left you going, what was that? Yes, even in the infamous, the love bomb, which was the greatest thing, right, in the world we've ever experienced. I'm saying it actually wasn't. They built you up, they praised you, but maybe they did other things. For instance, maybe they went to a bridal shower during the love bomb stage, and you text them and said, are you having a good time? And maybe they said, oh yeah, actually it's going really well. And maybe they included this little nugget. and I met a really nice guy, smirky face. And you're like, well, we've been dating each other for like 6 or 7 weeks, and what is that? Who texts the person that they're dating that they met a really nice guy or girl of the opposite sex? And the smirky face. That's really weird. Maybe they constantly brought up somebody at the store they go to. I go to the grocery store, and every time I go in, there's this guy, and he really hits on me, and he follows me around the store. And what was that? That's called triangulation. Maybe they made up stories like that. Maybe I'm not even going to go into other things, okay? But you know what I'm talking about. Maybe there were all kinds of little things they did to make you jealous. Maybe during the love bomb, they brought up their ex, and they brought up things that happened with their exes that made you feel really uncomfortable because they were testing you and pushing the boundaries and seeing what they could get away with. Here's another one. Maybe during the love bomb, they were all hot and heavy and after you and texting and calling, and you saw each other. And then one day they decided, I don't think I'm going to talk to him for about 8 hours. I don't think I'm going to text her for about 8 hours. And just see how it goes. Why'd they do that? To test you, to push your boundaries. And then you have to come to them and say, I don't like that. I don't like when we go all day and you don't communicate with me. And then they say, well, I didn't know, I was busy and I had this going on and I didn't. And in their mind, they're thinking, okay, so I know their boundary. That bothered them. If I give them silent treatment for a while, that bothers them. Okay. And all the while, it ropes you in further and makes you want them. It makes you hungry for them, thirst for them. These are the little manipulative games that they do during the love bomb stage even. You see, the relationship with the narcissist was never as good as you thought it was. This is the way, guys, that we gaslight ourselves. And interestingly enough, my narcissist, and maybe yours did as well, actually would tell me on occasion when they'd blow the relationship up for a few days, and they'd say, and you would maybe try to get them back and say, remember, the times that we had, and we just had a great weekend last week, and maybe they told you something like, you're over glamorizing this. I think you're glamorizing the good days that we have. And at the time, you're like, why are they saying this? I don't understand. Well, they're saying that because actually they knew it wasn't that great. They knew that they've done this same game 1,000 times before. And you were trying to overcompensate and gaslight yourself into thinking the relationship was better than it was. That is what the breadcrumbing is intended to do. Do you understand that? The breadcrumbing is to make you think the relationship is better than it really is. That's why out of nowhere, when they feel you slipping away or pulling away, boom, we need to get back to walks and Bible studies. We need to go on a day trip together again like we did. And that's breadcrumbing. And that's what keeps you in the game. And that's also what makes you think this relationship was way better than it really was. I hope this is helping somebody, because what I'm trying to tell you is very simple. You don't need to look back on that relationship and think about all the great times. Were there some good times? There probably were. I'm sure there were good times. There would be some good times in any relationship. But what I'm saying is, even the good ones were not that good. They were usually probably just a normal, decent day in a normal, decent relationship that you dressed up in your mind as spectacular because you were so used to the abuse that you accepted one good day in 10, or one good day in 15 or 20, or a few good hours in one day, or a good weekend every once in a while. That was good enough for you and for me. Guys, the relationship with the narcissist was never as good as you think it was. It wasn't. Not from day one, and definitely not to the last day. And definitely not ever since. And it would never have been as good as you think it was. So I hope this helps somebody. Every time that you start to miss that narcissist, this is another one of those ways you can look at it and attack it and say, darn it, actually, when you really stop and think, it was never that good. Not even the love bomb, and no part in between. I just settled for way less than I should. But we're not going to do that again, are we? None of us. None of us, no one on this channel, including myself, is ever going to settle for less. We need someone in our lives that treats us like the good days every day, or at least 99% of the time. We need to do that. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day. If you enjoy the content, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and all that good stuff. I don't talk about that a lot, but it really is nice to kind of get the message out there. I'm not going for numbers. It's not a big deal to me. But I'm just trying to help people. I hope that you share this if it helps you. And like I said, reach out to me. So anyway, until next time, God bless.